Hello, my celestial beings. This is Mike Kelton, and I've got a very important question for you. Is your search for cosmic understanding and mystical enlightenment lacking in sass? Well, if so, you have to check out a brand new podcast right here on Forever Dog called Sassy Tarot, hosted by comedian and self-described fangirl of the moon cycles, Veronica Osario. She's also one of my besties and truly one of my fave people. Let Veronica be your guide through the world of tarot as she performs interactive readings, teaches you about the cards and their meanings, connects you with your inner goddess, and reads the cards of your favorite comedians and entertainers to learn what makes them tick and what secrets their futures hold. Sassy Tarot is a wild and unforgettable ride through the esoteric realms with one of the funniest comedians around. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find podcasts. The first episode drops Tuesday, October 9th with new episodes weekly, and you have to subscribe because guess what? I'm on one of the episodes and I get my cards read, and it's truly beyond.
Forever Dog.
Because I believe in past lives. I just looked up when Trump was born and when Hitler died.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it works out.
So I do.
It works out, Michelle. I am not kidding.
So I have a very solid past life theory on Donald Trump, and I don't have him as Hitler. I think he's Mussolini.
He was a flapper in a past life. He's a comedian in this life. He's got a podcast about it. Everything he loves. Magic, psychic, mediums, astrology, beyond.
Hi, I'm Mike Kelton, and you're listening to...
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mom. What's up?
I've just been like zooming today. I have so much to do, but I'm getting it all done.
Hey guys, Mike here. I know we're listening to Beyond and we love it. But before we get into an intro, this is me and my mom chatting on the phone. Also, what are you doing right now? You're getting ready, right?
Correct.
Okay. I love it. Okay.
I'm multitasking, okay?
Okay, good. Okay. So me and my mom have a really close relationship, which is something I think a lot of people know about me, especially if you've seen my Instagram stories. But I think what a lot of people don't know about our relationship is that we've actually been through quite a lot together. From a pretty messy divorce to me coming out to her at 15 to some personal struggles that she went through early on in my life that I got to witness. We've actually become so close because of these things.
I have this very special feeling towards you that I really can't put my finger on the pulse. I don't really know what it is, but I just feel so loved and so accepted. And I really have never had that feeling with another human being in my life.
Oh,
I can't. Yeah.
There we go. I cry in every episode, and you know what? Here I go.
No, there's some kind of divinity thread between us that's very, very special. So maybe you were my mom at one point.
I know. Wild, right? Well, guys, that's what we're talking about on today's episode, Past Lives. Have you ever met someone for the first time and literally thought to yourself, oh my God, I know you. I am sure that we have a shared history together. Or are you in love with someone that you feel like so karmically connected to where you're like, this person's my soulmate? Yes, that's like a very normal thing we hear in Hallmark cards and at lots of weddings, but there's something to it, and it's all wrapped up in this idea of past lives. And that's what we're going to dig into on today's episode. But before I get too far into it without making any sense, let me have Michelle Brock, who is a past life regression therapist right here in New York City, who's our expert on today's episode, explain to everyone, so we're all on the same page, what past lives are.
So a past life regression is a technique that has a person, regress means to go back in time. Mm-hmm. So to retrieve memories from the past, but particularly from their previous lifetimes. And the idea behind this is that your past life memories exist in your unconscious. So they're still there. So it's kind of unlocking it. And the reason you would want to do a passive regression is that the unconscious past life memories still being there still inform your current life and impact you in some way. So whether it's decisions you make or beliefs that you have or patterns you're repeating. So even though you can't consciously remember them, they're still swirling around in there, and they kind of like make up, who you are right now in this life. So you want to go back, figure out what happened in the past so you can go, oh, that's why I fill in the blank, right?
Exactly. And on this week's episode, we're filling in the blank on my codependent relationship with my mom. And interestingly enough, my mom was actually the first person who turned me on to past lives, because she got me a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, which is about this guy who's a psychotherapist who went to Yale, who realized that when he was hypnotizing people to remember really scary childhood memories they suppressed, they were actually talking about past lives.
And the thing that makes it such an amazing book is that he talks about, he's like, they didn't teach me this at Yale, right? And she also, in addition to, healing her symptoms, she not only got better, she got happy, got way better. She also had messages for him personally that seemed to come from guides, which is why it's called Many Lives, Many Masters. That's what she called the masters. So,
and one question that I still get from friends and family when I talk about my past lives, one in which I was Socrates, buckle up, is, are you actually remembering real physical, historical lives, or are you creating or manifesting something within your subconscious to help you overcome issues you're dealing with in this life? And I think the answer to that I've realized through talking with Michelle and reading a couple books about it is it's honestly whatever is best for you, because at the end of the day, you can only experience this life right now. So who the fuck cares if it actually did happen, or if what you remember just helped you in a psychotherapy sense?
It's really, what's the takeaway? How do you bring that home and use it to change your life?
And for me, I've actually decided that I believe that these are real lives that I'm remembering. So, yeah, I'm Socrates, babe. Or not. But actually, I am. Maybe not. Just keep listening. So now that we know a little bit about past life regression, let me share with you my first experience going through a past life regression. So to give you a little bit of context, my manager, Liz D, we love you. Shout out to Liz. She, for my birthday 2 years ago, got me a past life regression session with Michelle. And this was just something that she knew I was into because I read this book like many people have, and I was just open and into it. I went into this situation thinking this would be a person who looked like a theater teacher with beaded curtains and tons of incense and candles lit, without electricity. And I guess when I showed up to Michelle's apartment in this doorman building on the Upper West Side, and I was just floored at the fact that she was just a normal lady that you would run into at a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods if you're fancy like that. And so I showed up at Michelle's apartment and I just was like, oh, you're cool as hell. Your furniture's from West Elm and I'm digging it. There are pictures of your kids in this apartment. You're you're like a normal lady and I like you and I want to drink wine with you. So she kind of greets me and she's like, okay, we'll sit at my kitchen table and we'll talk for a little bit before we do the regression. And another thing that shocked me was there were intake papers like you would have at a therapist, where I kind of filled out how I was feeling and if I was having any anxieties. And so we sat at her kitchen table and chatted for 45 minutes just about life and like you would with a therapist. And we went through my intake papers and we kind of I got more comfortable with what was about to happen. And there were two takeaways from this conversation at the table that, to this day, I'm this is so wild. One, Michelle quickly picked up on the fact that I was an empath and took on a lot of energy, as Asa did and, other people have in my life. But then she asked me a specific question that came out of nowhere and I was like, holy fuck. She looked at me and this is 20 minutes in, and she was like, as a kid, did you look in the mirror and let your depth perception go away and see different faces, or let your face morph into other faces? I know that sounds so crazy, like Animorphs, but real life. But as a kid, I would do that. Like as a small child, I would sometimes like, I don't know, lock myself in the bathroom and look in the mirror and lose my depth perception and like see other faces. And I never told anybody that because it makes me sound like a sociopath. But what it was, Michelle said, was that I've lived many lives and that I didn't believe that I was in this body as a small child. And you hear a lot of stories on the internet about kids, you know, being 2 years old and talking about being in a fighter jet going down, and parents are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it just means I had a really strong connection to my past lives. So that was dope as hell right off the bat. Second thing that happened was, as I was talking to Michelle at her kitchen table, I just felt like there were spirits behind me in like a survival tribunal of like a V shape, and that they were kind of just like sitting behind me as I was talking to Michelle. That's a feeling I've never felt before in my life. And I felt actually kind of crazy thinking that. So I didn't say it to Michelle while we were at the table because I was like, look, I don't need this past life regressionist looking at me and thinking, this guy's crazy, you know? So I didn't tell her. And then I go to the bathroom, and when I come back to get hypnotized to go under, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to tell Michelle. She's not going to judge me. So I tell Michelle, I'm like, hey, quickly before we go under, I got to tell you, Michelle, as we were talking, I felt like, and then she literally cuts me off and picks up and says, you had 6 spirits sitting behind you in a V shape? And I was like, what the fuck? And she goes, oh yeah, those are your spirit guides and they're very excited to show you some things. And I was like, yeah, I guess let's see what the spirit guides have to show me. So I was hypnotized, laying on Michelle's couch, and she tells me to open up a door, and on the other side of the door was going to be a memory from a past life. And so I opened the door, and then she says, look at your feet. What are you wearing? And I look down at my feet, and in like a second, I just see these red kitten heels, and my feet were flying. I was jiving. Like, jiving. I don't even know what jiving is, but I was jiving. And she goes, what are you doing? And I go, I'm dancing. And she goes, where are you? I literally cut Michelle off, and I was like, all I want to do is have fun. All I want to do is have fun. She's like, okay, what are you wearing? So then I look up, and I'm wearing this purple flapper dress. And I look around, and she goes, who are you with? And I go, in like this coy, like it felt like I was hammered. And I was like, I'm dancing with my friend, but I don't even know her name, and it's her birthday. Like, it was insane. And I'm feeling giddy and drunk. And then she goes, what's the time period? And I go, it's early 1920s. I was like, I'm in a speakeasy and I'm dancing at my friend's birthday. And she goes, okay, look around. Do you see, are there people there? And then I look around and I just see all of these men like sitting at the bar, leaning in, holding these like cocktails. And I say to her, I go, I know these men. I fucked all of these men. And like, I'm feeling giddy and drunk and wild. And she's like, okay, do you recognize any of these men from this life? And then I see this guy leaning in on this stool, looking at me the same way that Andrew looks at me. And in a fucking second, I was like, that's Andrew. I was like, that's Andrew. And he's looking at me thinking, oh my God, you're so wild. I'm obsessed with you. And I was like, I know it. I know he's obsessed. But then she's like, do you end up going home with him? And I go, no, because all I want to do is have fun. So I'm just like dancing the night away in this wild speakeasy club with my like short dress on, living my best life. I was like Alyssa Edwards on All Stars, Drag Race All Stars season 2. That's like, imagine me. That's what I was. So then she goes, I'm going to tap you on the forehead and you're going to flash forward 40 years to the next significant memory in this life. So she taps my forehead and I look down at my feet and I am now not wearing shoes. And my feet are fat as hell. I'm like, oh my God, my feet are fat. Like, I feel like people in Maine have fat feet. I know this is like probably not a nice thing to say, but they looked like people in Maine's feet. Like, people in Maine have fat feet. And so I'm like, oh my God, I look up and she's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm sitting on a lawn chair. I'm at a picnic. And then I look over, she goes, who's there with you? And I look over and it's the guy who was Andrew, and we're older now. And then I just start crying and I'm like, I settled down. We're married now. We love each other. And then I go, there's other people here. And she goes, who? And I go, there are kids. We have children. And I'm like literally sobbing on her couch. And then I look and I go, oh my God, one of our kids, our daughter, is sick. We're doing a picnic for the last day of her life, or like she's about to die. And she goes, do you recognize her? And then she turns around and it's literally my mom. It didn't necessarily look like my mom because she was like bigger and like looked sick and had like stringy hair, but I knew that it was my mother. She had the same energy of like oh no, like that kind of energy. And I was like, oh my God, it's my mom. And then I remembered my death day where I was at a old person's home. I was fucking livid. My energy changed and I was like, I'm alone. No one's coming to visit me. I'm fucking pissed. My kids aren't here. My husband died years ago. He left me. I was like literally so pissed. And then I like rose above my body in this old people's home at this like table. And I realized that life, what I learned about was that family was important to me. Because in the 20s, all I wanted to do was like get drunk and like live my Alyssa Edwards fantasy. But then I realized like family was really important to me. And Andrew was my husband and my mom was my daughter. And I was like, fuck. Okay, so that's the story. It's super fun. And like, of course, I was a flapper that was fucking everyone in this bar. I ended up settling down with Andrew. And then my mom was my daughter and she was sick and she died. And it was really sad and we had fat feet. So when I came home after this session, I told Andrew and I was like freaking out. I think it like made me think about things differently. And I talked about it so much that Andrew was like, you need to shut the fuck up about this. You will not stop talking about it. And so my way of like shutting up about it, or his way of making me shut up, was going. So I made Andrew go and get a past life regression. And Andrew was like into this. He had also read Many Lives, Many Masters, but like definitely not where I was with this. So I wasn't sure how his experience was going to go, but he did go. And here he is to tell you about it.
Thinking about going to Michelle's, I was not skeptical, but also kind of nervous about how my personality type would interact with her. Because I'm very logical, very left-brained. So she puts me under, and I very much knew that I was put under, or I mean, it was kind of like in a meditative state, but also I was very much aware. The best way I have to describe it is like when you fall asleep on the subway, or when you fall asleep on the beach, or something like that, where like you're not deeply asleep, you know you're on the beach. And you know when a kid kicks sand in your face, like you know that you're still on the beach, but you're also relaxed enough to fall asleep.
Yeah, nice.
So it's kind of like in between sleep and being aware.
So then Andrew was taken under and remembered a childhood memory and then a first past life. And those were really helpful to Andrew at the time and helped him overcome some things that he was dealing with. But it doesn't really have to do with me, bitch, or like the story that I'm telling on this podcast. So I'm going to skip to his second past life that he remembered, only because it's most pertinent to this story. And if you know Andrew, ask him about the other ones because they're really beautiful.
Then she takes me to this other life. And she says, look down at your feet. And I look down on my feet and I'm wearing sandals. And I saw that much. I could feel that much. And I knew I was on the beach. I had the feeling I was on the beach. And I saw my arms and they were dark. I had tan skin and they were hairy. And I was fat. I could tell I was a big guy. I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. It's like jolly fat man wearing a linen outfit. And she says, where are you? And those questions are just, like, how on earth do you know them? But in that moment, I really knew where I was. And I was like, oh, I'm in the Dominican Republic. Oh, I'm a Dominican man in the Dominican Republic, and I'm smoking a cigar. And I was like, wait, no, I'm not. No, that's not right. That didn't feel right when I just said that out loud. I'm not a Dominican man. I just have dark skin. Oh, I'm from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, and I just happen to have tan skin, and I'm on vacation. Got it. And so that kind of clicked through, and it felt really right. So then Michelle asked in her like beautiful, soothing voice, who are you with? I was like, oh, well, I have a family. They're back at the hotel. And instead of seeing my family, I saw just this grid, almost like the opening to the Brady Bunch, where there was a square, one big square, and half of the square was one section, and the other half was divided into 3 subsections. And I understood that the big part was my wife, and the small pieces were my children. And so she goes, okay, well, describe your wife. And I was like, oh, she has like very stringy hair. She is like very, just like, oh, I got the sense that her hair was almost like a mop. Like it was like,
mop?
Like a dirty mop.
A dirty mop?
And I was like, it's many colors.
It's fucking ridiculous. Okay.
And I was like, oh, it's, that's Mike. That's Mike. And it was almost just like this moment of like, of course that's Mike. It's like, of course he's so silly. But then also the mop hair. The mop. And also I was like, oh, this is the same life that Mike had told me about. And so I was like, oh, I'm here. This is interesting. We had 3 kids. The top one was our oldest, and he had very masculine energy. Felt like very all-American. And then the middle one was the square, which is purple. In that moment, I understood that color purple meant, oh my God, this child is very sick. She's about to die. Mm-hmm. Like if it was like a bruise, it made me feel sick. Like I had eaten something rotten. And then our youngest was my friend who I used to work at Subway with, who died of cancer when I was in college.
I knew you had like a very close connection. Very close. There's a picture of this person in our living room.
Yeah,
actually.
She's very important to me.
Sorry to take you away from the beach, but isn't this bizarre? I remembered my mom being my daughter in a past life. Andrew remembers that same life. And this reminded me of a really strange thing that happened after Andrew's second time meeting my mom early on when we were dating, where we got into a cab right after dinner. And then Andrew says, I can see us taking care of your mom in the future.
No. Not us taking care of your mom. Me taking care of your mom. Like I very much felt like, oh, I'm going to be going to the nursing home by myself to deal with my mother-in-law.
Wow. Isn't Andrew a gem? It was pretty crazy that in this cab, after a couple months of dating, he said that he felt like he was going to take care of my mom. But then he also called her his mother-in-law, which makes me think we'll get married. Anyway, here's the question I still have. I remembered my mom being my daughter in a past life. Andrew remembered that same life. And if the masters are trying to show us something that's important for us to know, I still had a big question. It's like, what's my mom's significance in all of these memories that we're recalling? So I did what any logical person would do. I took my mom to see Michelle, get regressed, and hopefully we can solve this maternal Da Vinci Code. Okay, I have to pause the episode of Beyond just for a hot second to talk about one of my favorite things, underwear. So I got a shipment of Tomboy X underwear a couple weeks ago, and I've been wearing them literally every day, and I smell horrible. kidding. I wash them. They're unbelievable. And I wanted to tell you guys about them because I truly think you will love them. And the thing is, it's not just underwear. They have so many things like bikinis, briefs, boxer briefs, trunks, and boy shorts, soft bras, racerback bras in everyday basic colors, fun seasonal prints, and brilliant colors. And the best thing is they come in all sizes from extra small to 4X. So regardless of where you fall on the size or gender spectrum, Tomboy X offers amazing underwear that literally anybody can wear. So go to tomboyx.com/beyond to check out the special bundles and pack pricing. And listen up. My celestial beings who are obsessed with all this stuff just like me. My Beyond listeners get an extra 15% off with the code BEYOND. So use the code BEYOND for an extra 15% off and be lifted in your spirit up to the heavens or whatever you believe in. And ditch whatever you're wearing right now to go buy a pair of Tomboy X underwear. And one more time, go to tomboyx.com/beyond. That's TOMBOYX.com/beyond. Yeah. Back to the show.
Hi. I'm Kathy. I'm Michael's mom.
Hi, Kathy. Nice to meet you. I'm Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. A pleasure. I've heard a lot about you.
Good to see
you. Come on in.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So are you excited?
Yeah, I told Michael I feel like it's almost like Christmas morning. I'm full of like anticipation of
And there's
what
a surprise that's wrapped
Yeah.
that we're going to unwrap.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
know
what
what's
I feel
inside.
like. I'm not nervous. I just feel like I'm gonna be exposed to some good things.
Great. Okay, come and have a seat right here. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you close your eyes, and I'm going to go into what's called a guided imagery, where your job is to just relax.
Okay.
Follow my voice, and it's called guided imagery because I want you to use your imagination to kind of kick up the visual elements, right? I'll have you imagine a light. What color is the light, right? I'll have you imagine a staircase that I'm going to have you descend. What do the stairs look like? Are they carpeted? Are they not carpeted, right? Really use your imagination as much as you can during that time.
Okay.
On kind of a spiritual, metaphysical level, what's happening is I'm connecting to you. We're opening a channel, a space together, because it's going to come from spirit. So it's not like you're, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what happened in like the 15th century. Let it come to you.
Okay.
And it might be something you see. It might be something you sense or feel or know, right?
Okay.
If something does pop into your mind, you know, a name, a date, a place, just say it, even if it doesn't make sense, right?
Okay.
Not that we're trying to validate this experience historically, but, you know, sometimes it'll come like that. It'll be like how you described that you were aware of a thought.
Okay.
Right? That's actually called clairsentience. Those are people that get gut feelings. You know, the regression will be a lot like you dream. So if you do tend to see things in your dream, you might see things. You might not see anything. You might just sense, feel, or know it, right?
Okay.
So be open to all of the senses. Some people hear things, right? Or smell smells. Smells are very connected to memory.
Okay. Are you guys ready to hear a recording of my mom's past life regression with Michelle? Because that's what's happening now.
All right.
Okay, are you ready?
I think so. I think
excited?
I'm just gonna try to get comfortable. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, closing your eyes now.
Okay, I just have to stop real quick. This is real. If you are operating heavy machinery right now while listening to this podcast, you have to stop, because Michelle told me that even with recordings of someone doing a guided meditation or whatever this is, you can actually slip into it yourself. And we are not responsible for what happens if you're driving a fucking truck right now and you go under and start remembering my mom's past lives. Okay? So stop listening and listen to it later if you're operating heavy machinery. Let's regress.
But the memory taking place on the other side of that door is a little bit different. Comes from another time, another place, when you had a different body. Is this something you would like to explore? Good. Getting up now, walking to the door. Going to count backwards from 3 and touch you on your forehead, and I want you to move through the door. Join the scene taking place on the other side. That is a memory from a past life. 3, the door's opening. 2, 1, be there. Through the door, This is a scene that's a memory from a past life. In your mind's eye, I'd like you to look down at your feet. Tell me if you're wearing shoes.
Yes,
What do they look like?
they're shiny.
What color are they? Can you tell?
I think they're red.
Look up your body. What kind of clothing do you have on?
Very pretty. Little girl.
Yes. What are you wearing?
Like a pretty dress. My hair's in ribbons.
What color is your dress?
Blue and white.
Is the skirt long or short?
It's like very girly. Kind of frilly.
Yeah, so a little bit full, flouncy. Mm-hmm. How old are you?
Like 3.
Where are you? Are you indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
What place are you in?
I don't know. I'm going someplace fancy. I'm all dressed up.
So you're going somewhere? Mm-hmm. Are you in a city or a town? Countryside? What does it look like where you are?
Probably more urban.
Yes. So when you're going somewhere, are you leaving your home? Mm-hmm. What does your home look like?
No, but the grounds are all manicured.
Yes. So it seems to be a large home?
A nice home.
Yes. Are you alone or is anyone with you?
I don't know who I'm with, but I'm definitely being doted over.
Yes.
I'm not being dismissed.
Doted over by adults? Mm-hmm. Are they men or women? Or both?
I don't know, but I definitely am in the care of. It's a happy place.
Happy place. You feel loved? Do you have a mother?
I don't know. I think there's a man. I don't know.
What's he wearing?
He's well dressed. Suit, nice shoes, wingtip shoes.
Yeah.
Well dressed.
And you feel this man is related to you?
Probably like a father figure.
Yes. Is he a father figure or is he your father?
Maybe my father. He definitely loves me and he cares for me.
Look into his eyes. Is he familiar? Does he remind you of anyone? Maybe from this life?
He has blue eyes.
He has blue eyes. Does his energy remind you of anyone you know in your current life?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you feel that you know this man? Mm-hmm. And he's a loving father to you?
Mm-hmm.
And he makes you feel safe?
Very.
Very. What part of the world are you in? Is this urban setting? Is this a city or a town?
I think it's Brooklyn.
Yes. What comes to mind when I ask what year it is?
I think we're in the early 20th century, early 1900s.
Early 1900s?
He has a pocket watch,
Yes.
the gold chain. He's very well dressed.
Yes. And when you look at him, you can feel how much he loves you and wants to take care of you. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, he's very good to me.
Yes. Where is it that you're going?
I don't know.
Do you often spend time together going places?
I guess. I know he's really good to me.
Yes.
And I feel safe with him. And I'm all prettied up. I'm looking at a pretty dress. My hair's in ribbons. Yeah.
And you feel that this father is wealthy, successful?
And very loving, yes.
Loving. So he has a good balance?
Mm-hmm.
What does he do for a living? What's his job?
I don't know, but he's very smart.
Yes.
And respected.
Respected.
And I feel safe with him.
Yes.
Like I know I don't have to, I have no worries with this man. He's good to me.
Who is your mother?
I don't know.
You feel that she's around?
No,
Did something happen to her?
I don't know.
What's your sense of it? Is it just you and your father on your own?
I don't know. That she doesn't care about me.
Yes.
But this man does.
You feel that you have this relationship with this man that makes up for not having a mother who's very into taking care of you?
And protecting of me.
Let's stop for a second. Wow, right? This is emotional and wild. My mom is a little girl in a dress in Brooklyn in the early 20th century. And her father is a guy with dark hair in a suit with a pocket watch. And her mom is MIA, and she's kind of like pissed about that. Here's where my brain goes. She said that she knew the father, but didn't say who in this life, although he was kind and he took care of her. What I'm thinking as I'm watching this is, holy fuck. Not only is my mom remembering the life that Andrew and I remembered, but fuck. The reason why my mom and I are so close this life and why I've been helpful to her through my parents' divorce is because was I a shit mom in a past life and just like out doing my thing? I was a flapper in the roaring 20s and I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to color my hair and get fat and live my life, honey. Was I a shit mom? So I'm listening to this and kind of freaking out and thinking that's definitely Andrew. The guy she described was in my memory was Andrew in that bar looking at me, this handsome guy who was looking at me with that drink and that like really beautiful suit and wingtip shoes. So Michelle kept going and brought her to this space, this like empty space at the end of the regression where she kind of wrapped stuff up. And that's what you're going to hear now. Also, just for context, my mom is about to bring up a couple important people in her life that have passed, including a woman named Maddie, who was my mom's best friend her whole life, who passed of cancer, and my grandfather, my grandmother, and me.
I want you to imagine now that you're back where you began, back in your personal sanctuary. And as you look around your personal sanctuary, I want you to notice if anyone's come to join you today. Any of your guides, loved ones who have passed, teachers, friends. Who is it that makes their presence known to you?
Maddie, my dad.
How do they greet you?
My grandmother. And my son Michael, but he's not passed, but maybe from another life.
Yes. So his energy can be there with you in spirit. How do they all greet you?
With love and acceptance.
Yeah. So you can feel that they love you. Why have they come? What message do they have for you?
That it's all okay, whatever that means.
Yes. What you're doing, what you're meant to be doing, you're a good person, it's all going to be okay. There's a bigger picture.
That I'm loved.
And you're loved. Why is your son Michael there? What does he want you to know?
That I'm not alone.
Yes.
And I'm loved. And I don't need to worry as much as I worry all the time.
Yes.
So I'm surrounded right now by, I feel such peace.
Such peace, yes. That love. I want you to stay in this peaceful place, in this moment, and just enjoy it for a little bit. And when you feel ready to return, come back today. I'd like you to say, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a portion of my mom's regression. And as you can tell, I still had a question because my mom remembered this nice man being her father in, the 1900s, 1920, 1930, whatever. And I was sitting there thinking, holy shit, like my mom didn't say who it was, but she said she knew this person. And she also said that her mom was MIA, which to me tracks to this like woman that Andrew explained who had like her hair all these different colors. So I wanted to give my mom some time to think about it. So I didn't ask her right after because I didn't want to bombard her. But I did call her a couple weeks after the session to ask her point blank if she thinks that this man was Andrew and that I was maybe her mom who was missing in action. And now you're going to hear that phone call. Hi, Ma.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Okay. So, Mom, in the session, you talked about being a little girl in Brooklyn in like the 19-somethings, early 1900s. And you were a little girl and you talked about a father with blue eyes and dark hair who had a pocket watch. And you said that you knew who that person was. Okay.
I did? Okay.
You did. But you didn't say like who it was, but you said you knew that person from this life. And then you talked about a mother. You said a mother who just wasn't there and she was like not there and like whatever she was, it was kind of flippant. She like didn't care. So I have a theory now and I want to run it by you and you can say whatever you want. You don't have to agree with me. I just like whatever. So
okay.
I think that person you saw who was loving was Andrew because he was my husband in the past life that I saw when we met in the early 1920s. So we might have had you in like the late 20s.
You mean like he was the father with the pocket watch?
He was the father with the pocket watch. This is my theory. And I don't want this to upset you, but Mom, I think I might have been your mom who wasn't there because in this life, I feel so connected to you and I feel a need to be there for you and take care of you sometimes when you are struggling and like you did with the divorce. And I feel it feels so karmic to me, this pull to that we're connected and that I love you and to take care of you, that I might have been not the best mother in our last life to you.
Wow.
Does that feel, what does it feel like to you? And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but like, what does that ring any bells for you?
No, I do believe that when we come back, we try, each life is a lesson, and then we try to right our wrongs in the next life, whatever the wrongs were. So that definitely could be a possibility.
But that person you saw, you said you knew who that person was, that man with the pocket watch. Who was that person?
I don't know.
But you said you knew who he was.
Yeah, but I was under. I don't know. I mean, now I'm not under. I have no idea.
Are you fucking kidding? You don't know? This question is still out there?
I don't even remember saying that, but I guess because I was kind of like under that lady's spell, but
Lady's spell? Michelle Brock's hypnosis? Okay, I mean, okay. I said I know who that person is in this life? Yes. You said you knew who that man with the pocket watch was, and you got very emotional because he took care of you and he cared about you.
Wow.
Honestly, cool. Honestly, cool that you don't remember because that makes it like still a mystery for me and also our listeners. Ma, I love you so much. And I just wanted to thank you for being a part of this episode and sharing your regression and sharing our story together. You know, I do think soulmates comes in many different packages. I think it comes in terms of like sometimes romantic partners, sometimes mothers and sons, especially mothers from Long Island with gay sons. Here we are. And I love you so much. And I just want to thank you for being the best.
Well, I just want to say I am truly blessed. There are people that go their whole life and they never have a connection with another human being the way we do. And it's truly, it's a gift. It's a priceless gift.
You're the best. So there you have it. An ending that is not an ending. How fun. here's the deal. My mom doesn't like really exactly remember who this person was, but when she was under, she did. And the guy she described to me felt like that guy in the bar when I was hammered and like dancing my life away. And the takeaway for me after doing all of this is that my relationship with my mom is very special because I truly believe that we've spent many lives together. And at the end of the day, that's like helpful for me. It offers me some peace. It gives good context to our relationship, which has been at times difficult and beautiful and a struggle. And life is a fucking mess, you know, like the things that we go through, whether it be, you know, divorce, a loss in the family, substance abuse issues. These are things that are really difficult to deal with in this life. But having a little past life context for why we might be prone to acting a certain way in situations and with certain people, I think is really comforting. And ultimately, I like to believe that everything is not finite and the decisions you make in this life are not going to be the end all be all. So in regards to YOLO, this bitch disagrees, okay? You do not only live once, you live many times. And if you have a relationship that you're maybe confused about, or you've met someone and felt like you know them before, or you think you're with your soulmate, or you have a contentious relationship with someone and you want to figure it out, I do think seeing Michelle or a past life regression therapist would actually be a feasible option for you. 100%. And if you want to book Michelle, her information is in the description of this episode. So click on it, book a session. Who were you in a PL? Let me know if we shared a PL together, because bitch, I lit love. And because of this idea of like coming back and reincarnating with the same people, I had one more question that I had for Michelle that I'd like to leave you with for this episode, because it's something that will really make you think. I had a thought the other day. I was just thinking out loud, watching the news, which is fucking so anxiety ridden.
It's like the worst reality show ever, isn't it?
It's terrible right now. And I just looked up, because I believe in past lives, I just looked up when Trump was born and when Hitler died.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it works out.
So I do.
It works out, Michelle. I am not kidding.
So I have a very solid past life theory on Donald Trump, and I don't have him as Hitler. I think he's Mussolini.
Fuck.
Yeah, because that date actually matches up and it makes more sense.
Well, now we have two.
I think Putin's Hitler.
Oh my, Michelle.
And that also lines up.
This is beyond Michelle.
Putin actually speaks fluent German, and he actually was serving in the military in East Berlin. And Mussolini and Hitler had this kind of like backdoor relationship to each other where they supported each other. But Mussolini, he had the thinnest skin ever. Like he would get upset if you criticize his clothing. And also too, he actually wanted to look like, they actually gave him power. They were like, okay, fine, you be the dictator. He staged a military like coup for TV. He had everybody march in with their tanks and made it look like it was that he had this glorious victory where he took over, but they actually gave it to him, but he did it for the TV cameras.
Well, nothing sounds more like Trump than that.
Donald Trump was born a month after Mussolini died.
Okay, well.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram @ForeverDogTeam, and like